All right, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Tea with Doug G. If you don't know me, my name is Doug Gooden, and y'all, this week I have the extreme pleasure of welcoming Miss Sydney Webb to the show. Sydney is just a phenomenal person, and I'm going to actually let her introduce herself. So, Sydney, you have the floor. Take it away.
Oh boy. All right. Spicy. We are going to jump right into it. Hi, I'm Sydney Webb. Don't know if anyone read the bio. I'm just going to kind of recap my bio. So I'm a sophomore at Oxford College of Emory University. I'm the operations director at MP Theater Group. I do a bunch for them. I'm going to be in some of their shows. I'm going to be directing some of their shows. I do a lot. I'm kind of everywhere. I'm always kind of doing so many things at any given point in time.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, and I am super excited to have you. And also, speaking of MP Theater Group, we actually are streaming on their page right now.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if it would work. Wade and Tristan and Deb, if you're mad at me because I'm streaming on this page, I'm very sorry, and feel free to delete the video. However, all that aside, yes, so Sydney and I both work for MP Theater Group, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I think that's the primary way that we've met and gotten to know each other. But Sydney, without further ado, we have a lot of questions, so let's get into it. All right.
All right.
So we've got a lot of these that are just going to go really fast. So I'm going to start off. First question, Sydney, on Tea with Doug G. Is it tea or coffee for you?
All right. So this is going to be kind of a controversial opinion. Kind of neither.
Okay.
I'm most certainly not a coffee person, and this is very specific, unless it is like those little Starbucks Frappuccino things that you get out of the grocery store in the little glass bottles. I don't know if that counts as coffee, but I will drink those. And the only type of tea I will drink is throat coat.
That is the most theater person answer I've ever heard.
I can't help it. It's who I am. It's ingrained.
No, look, I mean that stuff does wonders. So I fully respect it.
It does. Put some honey and lemon.
Yep. That's all you need. That's all you need. All right. So great first question. That was actually sent by Ben Tankersley. So second question, also a Tankersley question. Favorite popsicle flavor?
Ooh, okay. I have to say orange, because automatically any fruit flavored thing, any type of candy, anything like that is automatically I'm like orange.
Gotcha.
Don't know why.
Are you a creamsicle person, perchance?
I am not. I am not. For some
Okay.
reason, I can't get behind those. I don't know what it is.
I mean, that's fair.
Granted, it's been a long time since I've tried it.
Yeah.
Might be worth another shot.
Yeah, I get it. All right. Okay, sweet. So we got those two great questions from Ben Tankersley. Now from another member of the MP family, Tristan Webb wants to ask this question, which, good Lord, I don't even know. Sydney, should pennies be eliminated from U.S. currency?
Oh my God.
Tristan, what the heck, man?
What Tristan, how do you expect me to answer this? I know he's probably looking for an answer. I don't know if I can provide him with one. I mean, from the conversations that he has had surrounding it, it sounds like they should be.
Can I just say, I've known Tristan for a hot minute, and I've never had this conversation with him. And I'm a little upset. If I'm being perfectly honest. I've never had this conversation with Tristan. I've yet to have
I feel like I've heard it in passing.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah. So now taking sort of a shift into something that we both are very passionate about, theater. We have several questions regarding theater. And first question, I really love this because I think about it all the time. Sydney, so you're very big on directing, stage management, all of those aspects of theater. When you're picking projects, do you prefer something that appeals to a wider, more general audience, or do you prefer more niche projects?
Ooh, yeah, I don't. Okay, so a lot of my dream projects, I say a lot of them, it is one specific project that I really want to do
I think I know what specific project you want to produce because we've talked about it.
many times. I don't shut up about this project. Hope one day. But I mean, in terms of that, I guess the more niche projects, because I personally, and you will hear me say this constantly, I am a huge fan of just awful media.
Mm, mm,
Just some of the worst
mm.
things you can watch. I don't know why I get so much entertainment out of them, but it's just a great time. So that being said, the Toxic Avenger musical is something that is on my to-do list forever, and I would definitely say it's more of a niche project.
And and Sydney, we've discussed this, but we should take your very niche musical that you would like to do and pair it with a niche musical that, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't really have a desire to do, but I think they would work so well together. So let's take Toxic Avenger the musical and pair it with
Okay.
Reanimator the musical. And I think that's just an evening of whatness. That's a word. Whatness. That I think would be perfect.
Oh my gosh, I have not heard of that one.
Ooh, Sydney, that is down a rabbit hole on YouTube that I tread carefully.
Well, now I have to go look for it.
Yes,
Now I
yes,
absolutely have to go seek it out.
yes. I will also point out that the conversation regarding pennies being eliminated from currency is kind of very intriguing. That's going on. My mother is very much so against it. Hannah Day is very much so not against it. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is interesting. That's interesting. All right, so regardless, moving on. So Sydney, sticking with the idea of how you pick projects that you want to work on, or even now that you are the operations director, director of operations. This was a whole conversation that we had last night. Um, being that you're the operations director, so trying to work to sort of figure out what works best for an entire season of theater. What would you say is more important to you when picking a project or a show? Do you look for something with intriguing characters and good development, or a winning story?
Yeah, see, that's where it gets kind of tricky for me. Because for me, it's hard for me to separate the actor from director, from producer, all of that stuff. Um, so the actor part of me always really wants to say intriguing characters. I need characters with meat. I need to be able to deconstruct.
Mhm.
I need to be able to, do everything I have to do. But then at the same time, if you don't have a compelling story, like what are you there for?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's very fair. I think that's a very fair sentiment.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. All right. Awesome. Now, okay. So, so Sydney, kind of hopping back to this previous question, because I forgot that this question existed. Um, so Sydney, so we both have talked about our weird niche musicals based uh, on 80s horror films, which prompted this question. Why, Sydney Webb, do we as a society need more musicals based on horror movies from the 70s and or 80s? You can throw in the 90s, but I think you might be pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of crossing a line. I also kind of desperately want to know who sent this question in. Because this is a very specific question that I feel like was curated for you and me.
If I'm being perfectly honest, I can't remember who sent it. But yeah,
Valid.
it's very
Heartbreak.
much so. I feel very much so in
Yes.
the content of this question.
Me too, because mind you, I've also directed Carrie, the musical.
Yes, yes, a musical which opened and closed the same night on Broadway.
Well, that was the first one. That was the one in the 80s. The
Okay.
revival did a little bit better. Not much better, but it at least stayed open for a
Yeah.
few weeks. But no, why should there be more? I don't know. There is just so much, I guess, fuel there.
Hmm.
Like there's so much behind these horror films, and they're kind of, I mean, looking back at them now, granted, I don't speak as like a horror film connoisseur. I don't do a lot of horror films generally. Uh, but from the ones I've seen, they're all kind of beautifully cheesy. Like they already get me to laugh, even though
Yeah.
they're not at all supposed to be funny. But and that just it gives it such a spark, such a different energy. They have such a way about them that's like,
Hmm.
oh, this can't be recreated
Yeah. Yeah.
better than what it is. And I feel like the musicals could bring a lot of the same energy.
Yeah.
And they also,
And
of course,
what's
have the potential to be so bad, which I love.
up? Well, there we go.
There he is.
Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that. My apologies. Um, yeah.
Like, should I fill the time?
Okay. Sorry about that. My apologies. My Wi-Fi is horrible. But regardless, so yes, we're talking about musicals based on horror movies of the 70s and 80s. And what's weird is that, Sydney, we have the really niche musicals like Carrie or Toxic Avenger or Reanimator or even Evil Dead. But then you
Right.
also have something like Beetlejuice, which is very much so horror adjacent,
Hmm.
do outstandingly well. Or
Yeah.
even something like Heathers, which is very horror adjacent, more thriller,
Yeah.
um, and it does exceedingly well and has a huge cult following. So, okay, so this is a follow up question of this, Sydney.
Okay.
I mean, do you think that there's some secret, like, because all of these movies that have been adapted into musicals have their perfect balance of really really weird and just very intriguing. So, what do you think that perfect balance is, that really makes a horror musical stand out and be successful?
Ooh, I don't know. That's that's a really good question. I don't know. I guess sometimes just it comes down to um the material that's already there.
Hmm.
Because even looking at Heathers, looking at Beetlejuice, even those movies, they either had a cult following or they were like really popular. Like Beetlejuice is like super popular,
Yeah,
generally the movie, and Heathers had a cult following for a while, like when it came out. Um, so I think it can kind of come down to that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just how it resonates with the audience. Because I know like things like the Toxic Avenger, like I mean, it was just so low quality and kind of like questionable with some of the content in the movie. Because I have unfortunately seen the movie as well.
The movie is 50 flavors of wrong.
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
awful.
the movie is actually awful. Like, you should not watch the movie.
Like I saw it once and I said I will never see this again. I don't, this isn't the type of bad that I want to keep coming back to because I enjoy it. I just felt so genuinely uncomfortable the entire
It
time.
it makes you feel like dirty watching it.
Yes.
It's awful. But then you get the musical,
Right.
and I think it knows. There has to be a level
Oh,
of just self-referential and self-deprecating humor that you can take
yes.
something that does not work in a straight film sense, but you throw songs and dance numbers into it, and it sings.
Right, right. Yeah, I think with that type of media there's got to be some type of self-awareness there.
Yeah.
Because I know like speaking solely on that example, it is extremely self-aware. Like even in the opening number, they're joking around. They're like, "This musical is 19 hours long. We have a registered nurse in the lobby."
Yeah.
Like it's just absolutely ridiculous, and they're constantly just like hamming it up. They're like, "We know this is based off an awful thing, but we want to make this at least fun." Also,
Yeah.
it does help that the music is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that great, but it's catchy at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, one of the guys from Bon Jovi was on the writing team for it. That's a whole other.
Wait, is that legit?
Yes.
That's insane. It's amazing, but it's insane.
Oh god, it was David Bryan, I think is his name. If I'm not mistaken, but he's fully one of the writers for the music, if not the sole writer for the music.
That is incredible, and it points out why that's a musical that should be done.
Yes.
And it's why it should exist.
It's great.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with our questions, but it did just get me thinking. Okay, so there's a YouTube channel that I can't think of the name of it right now, but they do music videos. They do mock music videos starring the killers from old horror movies.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Oh god.
And I can't think of the name of it, but I would love to see something like that stretched out into a full musical, because like they've got one where Jason Voorhees is like the awkward girl in a teen movie from the 2000s, and he slowly like finds someone who will ask him to prom, and it's so absurd and so dumb. The music is fantastic, but like I need more. I need more of it.
Like there are stories here. They are putting stories together, but it's through the music videos.
We love people who will tell a good story.
Yes, I mean, look, the Slash Street Boys are quite possibly the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, great time, great question. All right. So going off of this, we talked about Toxic Avenger. We talked about Reanimator, the musical. We talked about all these musicals. They're so insane. They maybe shouldn't be produced regularly, but we want to produce them anyway.
Yes.
Sydney, something that I'm always curious about for directors or producers or whatever, is there a show or a musical or a play that you never want to produce?
Oh, God.
Because I read this and I thought I had an answer, and I've been thinking about it for several hours since then, and I still don't know that I do.
Yeah, I don't know if I entirely have an answer for this. Because I mean, there are certainly some out there that I don't love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, okay. Actually, I think there might be one that I never want to produce it, but there's a very good reason. Okay. So there's a musical called The Wild Party. I believe premiered in 2002.
Okay.
And I want to preface this by saying I love this musical. I love it so much. Right. And I have seen one production of it. It was done by friends of the show, UGA Next Act. And I adore this show, but I cannot direct another version of this show because I know that all I'll be thinking in my head is what I saw. And I just can't produce it. I can't do it because that's going to be stuck in my head the entire time. So I think that might be the one that I never want to produce, but it's solely because I saw a version that I don't want to change.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think SpiderMan the Musical should never be done.
Now, SpiderMan the Musical, no. SpiderMan the Musical should 100% be done again. It should be done on a shoestring budget in a black box theater. Yeah. I'm going to throw this comment up here. My mother posted this because my mother has held a grudge against SpiderMan the Musical, ever since we saw it when I was, oh, good Lord, I think 13. So 9 years.
Oh
9 years my
gosh.
mother has held a grudge against this musical. But you're wrong. You're wrong, Mama, because this show needs to be done. And it needs to be done with no budget, with no set design, nothing.
Hopefully with more safety precautions.
With abundant safety precautions. I mean, the most they will ever be off the ground is like 6 inches. But that's it. That is it. I want to do this show one day. I want to do it one day. I've spoken about this with as many people as humanly possible so that one day, if the rights become available, I get to do it. I swear, one day I will make SpiderMan the Musical. And I will direct it for less than $1,000.
That is my favorite thing, and I cannot wait to see it.
Don't worry, I can't either.
MP next season?
Yes. Yes, 100%. 100%. We have zero authority to make that decision. Also, I'm pretty sure the rights are not actually available. But,
right.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, this is a sad thing. I can't entirely be sure if the rights ever will be available.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing. Release the rights. Look, if we got to release the Snyder Cut, let us release the SpiderMan musical. Release those rights.
Oh, yeah.
Just Julie Taymor, I know you watch the show. Jules, I know you watch. Julie, all I'm asking is one day, give me one day to direct this show, and I will figure out how to do it. And it'll be beautiful. It'll be amazing. It will go down in history as one of the greatest things ever produced.
Look, I'm not advocating for illegal activities.
Oh, okay. Well, always fun when this topic comes up.
However, I am saying that it is totally possible to do it without the rights.
And on that note, so I talked about this show going down in history. Speaking of things with history, that's the worst segue I've done in a long time. Sydney, what is a historical event that deserves a musical adaptation?
Oh my God. Oh, you asked the most disconnected person from history.
But here's the thing, okay? Because we are kind of in a weird space of just theater right now where historical events are getting musical adaptations really frequently. You have obviously Hamilton, which, if you don't know what Hamilton is, where have you been for the last several years?
Have you even been here?
And then you have Six, which, if you don't know what Six is,
do better.
Write something in the comments or message me, and we will talk about Six, because Six, that's a spicy meatball right there.
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I kind of want it to be like some just obscure, like ridiculous historical event. I can't pinpoint an exact moment. I can see some things happening in the chat right now.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna address the things in the chat in just a second.
Pretty intriguing, but I don't know. I'm gonna be real with you here. I haven't been in a history class in a long time.
Fair. That's fair.
But just something stupid. Like, was this that like when Napoleon was doing his stuff, like when he went like towards, wasn't there a situation like towards Russia and he just like was not ready for how cold it was?
So was
that real?
Yeah, that was real. But like kind of the urban legend is that brief history aside. So there's kind of like this urban legend that the reason no one can conquer Russia is because everyone's boots are always two sizes, always fit correctly. Because what you should be able to do is go in and stuff your boots with additional padding so that you can stay warm during the winter.
Okay.
Because the winters are brutal.
Right.
Again, that's kind of an urban myth, but also like it's kind of true. Um, I I would actually kind of like to see that. I would also, to a lesser extent, I would also love to see a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the musical. Then you get a bunch of historical events, historical figures in a musical setting. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Doug,
We are making art here, people. We are making art.
I think that is a winning idea, and I would love to be involved with that in any way I possibly can.
Sydney, we will start writing it in 2 weeks when I close
Okay.
Polar Bears.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So I have to address these two things that got thrown in the chat because I really do
Yeah.
actually like them. This first one from my mom, The First Flight to the Moon would be a great
Ooh.
musical. I actually agree with that. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would do it, but I would love to see it. Also, like 60s music, you don't think about it a lot, but 60s music has got a lot of like really great stuff. I know what Ben just said in the comments. I'm not going to address it, even though I did just address it. However, I am going to bring up another thing that Ben said in the comments, which is give me the Bible, the miniseries, the musical. This would be awful. It would be awful. I think it would be awful. But a serialized musical experience where, see, and also this is the most like Broadway thing that would happen. Make a musical that makes it impossible to get the full story without coming back and seeing subsequent musicals.
Sequels and sequels and sequels.
That's such an American Broadway thing to do. But it
Yeah.
would be awful. It would be awful. It would be awful. All right. Great stuff. Great
Might
stuff.
I just say,
yes.
Cars 2, the musical.
No, you may not say. You may not say. No, because you know what? Here's the thing. Because Cars 2 does not deserve to exist on any plane or realm of existence. It is awful. It is downright horrible. It's one of the worst movies ever made. It should not be viewed by children or families or anyone with a soul. But you know what it does, Sydney? Do you know what Cars 2 does?
What does it do?
Is it gives a much better segue into this. So speaking of shows that are not family friendly, Sydney, do you prefer a family friendly show or a show for a mature audience?
Honestly, and I don't know how surprising this would be to people that know me, but I would say mature audience. I don't know, just generally from a standpoint of behind the scenes, I just think there's so much more to deconstruct there. Not trying to diss family friendly shows because there's also still a lot there that you can discuss and you can put out there. But I just think there's a lot more that you can do with mature topics and mature pieces in that sense. And also like I oddly enough, raunchy comedy is ridiculously funny to me sometimes, as long as it doesn't go too far. I mean, there is a line where I'm kind of like, that makes me uncomfy.
Yeah.
But that being said, I've talked about the Toxic Avenger a lot, and that is quite possibly one of the furthest things from a family-friendly musical.
Yeah, I think you made a good point because it's not that there are not good family-friendly musicals.
Right.
That's not a thing. I think that the problem people come into is that you see the words family-friendly and you automatically think it's safe or it's child-proof. And I think if you get into that headspace, then you're not going to create something that's really effective or really doing anything.
Yeah, and it can prohibit that, and also I think general audiences have a certain view of what family friendly means, and people read that and they're like, "Ugh, well, that's automatically it's for kids. It's going to be the least interesting thing I've ever seen. I didn't come here to see a middle school production."
Yeah. I think you're dead on the money right there. All right. So Sydney, we actually got an interesting question from someone who I know that you were working with this summer. I believe, Miss Shalina Smith. Um,
Yes.
yes, we love
Yes.
Shalina. By the way, anyone who has not met Shalina, like, do yourself a favor. Shalina is lovely.
She's incredible. I cannot wait
And
to work with her.
yes, and okay, so I actually had to cut down her question, but I'm going to read it in its entirety
Okay.
because I love it. It's a very good question. So Shalane says, I want to know why you prefer directing and stage management instead of acting. You always hear
Ooh.
actors telling their stories about why they chose their path, but you never really hear these stories from directors, stage managers, members of tech, etc., which is really unfortunate because they are such an important part of the production. So I'm going to throw up the abridged version of that.
Yeah,
Shalea, that's an excellent question.
it is. And also all the credit to tech people
Yes.
everywhere. If there's anything that I've learned delving more into this world these past few years, is there are some hard jobs and
Yeah.
I have nothing but respect. But
Yes.
so why do I prefer directing and stage managing instead of acting? So this is actually kind of, let me figure out how to word this.
Yeah.
So I do consider myself to be an actor first in everything. Acting is what I fell in love with. It's what I've been doing since I started theater. I just can't see myself not on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
That is where I want to end up. But at the same time, I have found a love for directing and a love for being backstage through all of the opportunities that have been presented to me. Um, it's just a different way um, to express my creativity and to express what I want to put out there. And something about it. There's different, and I've spoken to this about this with some people, but there's like different, I guess, um, and this maybe sounds kind of selfish, but reward levels that come with each of them. There's different levels of pride that come with each
Mm-hmm.
of them. So like from the acting standpoint, it feels very much like, oh yeah, I did that. That's cool. I was able to go in there and create this, and I went out and I put it out to the audience, and they liked it. I got applause. I feel really good about myself. But then there's something about directing. It's like, oh my god, I was able to get this ginormous or small group of people together to put together something that may mean something to people
Yeah.
and might affect people
Yeah.
in various ways. And something about that is so rewarding, and being able to give actors and tech folk and everyone just the chance to do what they want to do is so incredibly important to me.
Yeah. The way I always give it to people is obviously as an actor, you take a certain level of responsibility and ownership of
Mm,
whatever show that you're a part of.
yeah.
However, the level of uh, to use a phrase, your stake in the game when you are a
Mm,
director or you are a stage manager is so astronomical.
yeah.
It's you can't quantify it. You
Right.
can't put it into words. And to finally get finished with production and to finally see a big thing for me is to see how far an actor can come.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
because you get a little bit of that in the cast, but you have to kind of take that step back to really see people grow in the way that they are capable of growing. And I think
Right.
that's what really pushes me to directing.
Right, right. And I personally, again, speaking as an actor turned director, I guess, I personally really enjoy giving actors the room to explore a character
Hmm.
and to explore how they put together their characters and like their process and everything. Like that's why I kind of describe my directing style as kind of um I guess taken back. Like I like to say, like, yes, I am here to give you blocking. I'm here to give you direction if something is just not working. I'm here to give you guiding questions to make you think about things. But at the end of the day, these are your characters. This is what you were putting on the stage. And this is your journey. This is I want you to get something out of this. That's not me just telling you do this, 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 and this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think that's very well said. Um, all right. So Sydney, obviously, first of all, Shalena, thank you for that question. That's a
Yes.
phenomenal question. Um, all right. So Sydney, so kind of winding things down. Obviously, I said at the opening of this, and well, you echoed that fact, that you are the operations director for MP Theater Group. And one of the things I'm curious about is what do you think is the greatest challenge associated with being an
Ooh.
operations director?
Yeah. So I'm I'm gonna be honest, I'm still in the process of kind of learning my way around things because this is a relatively new position for me. I've just been moved up to this position. But what I've experienced so far, or like what I'm going to experience, is kind of um I guess almost, and this is more of a personal challenge for me, is just self-discipline and
Hmm.
organization and making sure I'm getting things done when they need to happen, make sure I'm communicating with everyone effectively. Um, g- Generally, just making sure I'm able to get done what I need to get done and making sure those associated with me feel comfortable and feel like they are, doing their jobs to the most effective way that they can.
Yeah.
Um, so I also think that is incredibly important, is making people feel like they're needed there and they're wanted there and that they're doing their things how they need to be done, because
Hmm.
it feels very very good when that happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's very very well said. All right. So Sydney, we've we've gone this whole journey that we've had in this conversation.
Hmm.
And we've talked about the we've talked about the interesting shows that we want to direct one day. We've talked about the reasons why we direct, why we do what we do. And Sydney, I feel we would be remiss, we would
Remiss.
feel that word if we did not address something pretty big, and that is Sydney. Do you have any projects that people should know about? They're upcoming, or to another extent, MP Theater Group. Are there any projects that people should know about?
Whoa, I'm so crazy you asked. I was just like, I was gonna talk about it eventually, maybe. I don't know if you were gonna give me the platform for it.
You know,
um
I really do try.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. So there are so many upcoming projects to do with MP. I'm gonna plug you a little bit. The show that you are directing, Polar Bears, that is coming up on April 23rd and 24th, correct?
That is 100% correct.
Yes.
You can buy tickets now
Yes, please
on
buy tickets
Facebook.
now, because that was going back to the previous question. That was part of my job to make sure tickets are up.
Yes,
Please
they
go
are.
buy them. Um, but yeah, so there's that. And then right after that, we are going into Trail to Oregon, which I'm actually in that one. I will be playing the daughter in that piece. So y'all should totally come out and see that. We'll be hopping into rehearsals for that really soon. And then following that, I will be directing a play called Puffs. It is a retelling of Harry Potter through the Hufflepuff's perspective. It is so funny. It is so exciting. I can't wait to hop into this piece and get with these people and learn everything and put it out there to the world. It's going to be such a fun time.
And Sydney, here's the great thing is I know very little about Puffs, but just from what I have seen, specifically from talking with members of your cast,
Mm.
like this production is going to be so amazing. Like it's beyond me.
I hope so. I mean, the cast is already incredible. I am so psyched to see what all they do. Because, I mean, several of them have already been in some of our shows that we've produced this season. So some of them are going to be quite regular faces that you all will see. But they're all so ridiculously talented, and
Yes.
they're going to put on an incredible show.
Yeah.
And we're going to do our best to make it look good too.
And I have no doubt in my mind that you will succeed. I can't talk tonight. I'm sorry. That's my cue. It's time to wrap up the show.
Look, this
But
is
I
the one
have
time I can talk. I don't know what's happening tonight, but my brain's functioning, so you got lucky.
Look, Sydney, as long as that happens, I'm fine. I don't care if I can't talk, as long as the guest can keep the conversation going. We're good. We are good to go. But yeah, y'all check out Puffs, y'all check out Trail to Oregon, y'all buy tickets to Polar Bears. You're gonna hear more about that next week. But regardless, Sydney, thank you so much for coming on. Technical difficulties aside on my end, which yeah, it's been a minute since that happened, so that's always fun. But yeah, Sydney, did you have a good time?
I did. I've had such a good time.
Well, excellent,
I'm.
excellent. Well,
Oh, thanks for
well,
having me.
of course, I have loved having you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Folks, if you haven't already, check out MP Theater Group. They are doing some awesome things, and Sydney is doing all the director of operations things that need to be done to make those things happen. That was a lot of the word thing in one sentence. Special thanks to everyone in the chat, specifically, as usual, my mother, Ben Tankersley. Thank you for once again giving my mom a run for her money as person who comments the most in the chat. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Be sure to keep up with all things Vider Media has going on. New episodes of Tea with Doug G every Monday. New episodes of Sing the Skeen every Wednesday. I believe this week our episode is The Professor and the Madman. I'm not on that episode, but I have zero doubt they will be amazing. But yeah, until next time, folks, I'm Doug Gooden. She's Sydney Webb, and this has been The Tea. Y'all have a fantastic evening. Oh my gosh. Yes, go on. Go on. We'll consider this our toast. Lovely. Thank you, Sydney. But yeah, y'all have a great week and I will see you next time.